one thing I'm going to pull from real quick, it doesn't need to be a huge sidebar or anything. If I remember right, when Kahn was first in the show, he was the result of selective breeding. And this has turned into... I think
you might be correct on that.
Yeah, and this has turned into genetic modification over the years. Which I don't know if that was what was originally intended. I think it was supposed to be, when you talk about eugenics, that's kind of like that Nazi breeding program,
Right.
Yeah. And so
maybe it's just interchangeable there over the years.
Yeah, I don't know how realistic the idea of genetic engineering would have been in the 60s, so maybe it was just a new idea that was pumped in, because I know by the time Deep Space Nine and Julian Bashir come around, it's genetic engineering. And I think there was an episode of The Next Gen called the Masterpiece Society that had to do with engineering as well, or cloning at the very least.
Right.
It was a Pulaski
It's definitely
episode.
had a bit of an evolution there.
Yeah. So I've got questions about Kahn as this season unfolds and as Star Trek itself has unfolded over time.
Here's hoping we get a little more Kahn.
Well, there's room for it. I don't know how they would do it besides, a very little more Kahn.
Yeah, it'd probably be some kind of time travel thing or something, or most likely something to do with Lon. But,
yeah,
I would be down for young Kahn.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Maybe a young, innocent version of him. Speaking of which, I'm really looking forward to.
Child, maybe.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to next week's episode for no particular reason. Yeah. Yeah. I actually, when I was getting ready for this week's recording, that episode started, and I'm like, I shouldn't be sitting here watching this. I have other stuff to get ready for. And I'm like, but just 10 more minutes, because I really like the next episode.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have a lot to say next week. I can tell you that one.
Yeah, I really like that one. During the defense's cross-examination, Cthulhu pressed April on why he would have denied Una's application, citing a specific regulation barring genetically modified individuals from serving in Starfleet. April, with the weight of his rank and service behind him, justified the decision by pointing to Regulation 17, Article 12. Cthulhu, ever the tactician, then asked April to define General Order 1, the Prime Directive, and how it prohibited Starfleet from interfering with other cultures. This move raised an objection from the prosecution for relevance, but Tellarite Representative Talagal allowed it, curious himself. April explained the Prime Directive's principles, but Cthulhu skillfully pointed out instances where April had violated it, citing various examples of his interventions in pre-warp civilizations. That's just a danger of being the captain of the Enterprise, I think.
Yeah, it kind of comes with the job that you're going to have to violate one or two major regulations at least in your first week.
Yeah, I have yet to see a captain of the Enterprise that hasn't had some serious, Prime Directive violations.
I thought it was kind of cool, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I very well could be, but I think this is the first time that we have seen a captain grilled on the stand in this frame of context. Like, usually when it comes to, like, say, the court-martial, for example, right? Or Rules of Engagement from Deep Space Nine, when Worf was commanding the Defiant and was accused of firing on a civilian ship. But with those episodes, it kind of frames it as more of a, let's get the captain away from the legal troubles, and we got to find some way to get them off the hook here. But I think this is the first time that we've seen, or maybe not an admiral, but a former captain of the Enterprise, on the stand getting railed pretty much in front of everybody about his decisions behind the chair, and it being portrayed as this is the bad guy, at least for the moment it was. And, just really kind of trying to paint him in that light, at least in the moment, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he does get a little bit of a redemption at the end of the episode.
Well, I think you're right in the context of what's being done here, because usually the courtroom episodes are somebody's been accused of something either unjust or untrue. And in this, everything that everybody's copping to or being asked about or confessing is absolutely what they did. Admiral April, as captain of the Enterprise, violated the Prime Directive. Una lied about her genetic background. So, yeah, I think you're right here. This is like the first time where it's just somebody kind of getting grilled over if that's what you were saying, an actual thing they had done.
Right.
Yeah. However, Battelle objected once more, and this time Admiral Javis sustained the objection, reminding K'Toole that the witness was not on trial. K'Toole, relentless in her pursuit of justice, had effectively highlighted the double standards in Starfleet's application of its own rules. Yeah, see, here's your thing again. In another part of the ship, Captain Pike found himself questioning his decision to involve K'Toole in Una's defense. See, that's kind of weird. So it was his suggestion that Pike is questioning this person that it was really Una wanted in her defense, but he's the one that went and got her. So he's questioning that. Earlier, they kind of implied that Marie Battelle took the prosecution's position as kind of a way to hopefully help Una out, but she was the arresting officer when they brought her in.
Seems like a conflict of interest to have the arresting officer also be your prosecutor, doesn't it?
I would think so, yeah. Hang on one second. Sorry, everybody. Commander Dog is being a little difficult this evening. Not a big fan of courtroom dramas. She prefers the episodes where they fly around shooting stuff.
Well, don't we all at some point?
Yeah. So he's questioning getting K'Toole involved in Una's defense, and he sought counsel with Admiral April in his quarters. Pike revealed that approaching K'Toole had been his idea, and when he went on to share Una's remarkable accomplishments, including her swift promotions and a recommendation for the Starfleet Medal of Gallantry, April, with a knowing look, hinted at what could have been, suggesting that the court never had the opportunity to hear Una's outstanding record. Back in her cell, Una couldn't contain her frustration and confronted K'Toole about her courtroom tactics. K'Toole's response left Una with a bitter realization. K'Toole hadn't taken on the case to help an old friend. Instead, it appeared to be at a platform to challenge the genetic modification law and to vent her anti-Federation sentiments. Una, still seeking answers about their past disagreement, was met with silence from K'Toole. K'Toole's parting words left Una with a sense of resignation as she returned to her work. And, even early in this episode, they basically said that she was taking this because of her anti-Federation feelings. That's not like some big secret. Right. I guess maybe Una had nothing to do with that part of the conversation, but it was no big secret.
Yeah, maybe it was more of a personal shock.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe she really did think it was just because they were old friends, and even though she wouldn't take she being K'Toole wouldn't take her being Una's phone calls, maybe she thought that the friendship came through anyways, even though Captain Pike had to almost die of aspiration to to get her to get on board.
Friends forever.